Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. You smell that? It smells like a Fable 4 conversation in the making, and it smells oh so delicious. Whether it's a reboot or a direct sequel, I do not care. Your boy just wants some Fable in his life, and it's been rumored for far too long, dating back to many years ago. And so naturally, we need to round up all those rumors and have a conversation. Is 2020 the year for Fable 4? Is 2020 the year we see the announcement of this game that has dodged us for years on end, a series that disappeared with Legends and can possibly return under a brand new developer? Is it actually happening? Well, I believe so. Today we're rounding up all of the evidence. It begins with, ironically, Sony, because Sony just backed out of E3 for a second consecutive year, and thus the speculation began. Will Xbox be attending? Will Nintendo be attending? Are these companies bigger than the ESA, and do they need E3 anymore to promote their products? Is gaming officially that big? Well, Xbox's Phil Spencer quickly answered the bell, confirming that Microsoft would be attending E3 this year, that they're working hard on it, and they're looking forward to sharing with all those who love to play what's ahead for them. Also noting that this year is a milestone year for Team Xbox, which is exciting in its own right. Now, the reason that E3 matters is because it sort of stamps a date on our calendar of when we can look forward to possibly seeing some Fable 4 this year, a place that we can expect it, considering now that we know Microsoft is officially attending, that we shouldn't expect any significant announcements or events happening between now and then, as they're already preparing as of this point in time. You see, the reason that Fable 4 anticipation is really ramped up in this last year is only a mere couple of days before E3 2019, there was a significant leak that came out for Fable 4. It had a video featuring some gameplay. There was a trailer even that displayed exactly what you could expect from Fable 4. Unfortunately, it's gone, and all that remained was actually a comment on a Reddit post describing what had happened in the trailer, which confirmed first/third person exploration, an in-depth character creator. It was completely open world. There aren't any guns in the game. You could ignore the main quest and never become a hero. Players could build towns, and it ties heavily into the main quest if you do get the bad ending and fail. There's also multiplayer, so you can play online with friends, and it's built in Unreal Engine. Furthermore, there's a story synopsis saying that Albion and Aurora are gone, lands reduced to fables, the Spire was rebuilt and used by a mad king to wish that an asteroid would strike the planet. He also wished it would happen again in the far future, eons later, and everything is new, medieval themed, new continents, and now you have to stop the destruction of the planet again. Teresa and a heroes guild are preserved on another planet via a demon door. Time travel heavily involved in play. Jack of Blades returns. So it was a pretty substantial leak. It gave us a lot to sort of wrestle with here. But when it comes to the official start, ladies and gentlemen, of Fable 4, it goes back to the beginning of 2018, when Eurogamer had reported that a new Fable is planned as a story and character-focused open-world action RPG. A significant investment in its development is also planned, with some 200 people set to work on the game at Playground's newly established second office in Leamington Spa, Warwickshire. Now, for those of you who do not know, these are the developers who worked on the Forza Horizon series. They made open world racing games, which I thought was very interesting. And I can understand why people were doubtful at first, right? Because while these are great games, it's totally different to make a racing game in an open world space versus a fantasy RPG open world game. They're completely different, and the worlds are created differently. Even if they're within the same genre of just being open world, they have to be planned out differently to account for traversal of vehicles versus being on foot in a medieval area, right? But truth be told, there's talent here, and while I'm someone who doesn't like racing games, I thoroughly enjoyed my time on Forza Horizon 3, so I was pretty excited to see that this company would actually be working on it. Now, this article did also mention at the time of posting it not to expect to play this new Fable anytime soon. They heard that it was in the early days in terms of developments, with Playground currently staffing up the team from double digits to a triple-digit target. So obviously that's something that had to ramp up over time. And when you combine that leak from 2019 before E3 with this information, it certainly makes sense why Phil Spencer and the team at Xbox, as well as Playground Games, held off from revealing it despite clearly a trailer being ready to show off. Here's actually why we didn't see Fable at E3, according to Xbox's Phil Spencer. He says that Xbox wants to make sure that when they talk about things to come, whether it's Fable or not, that the team feels very solid about what they are doing. He says, I'll harken back to the Marvel MMO. Anybody remember us announcing a Marvel MMO? We didn't even have a team that was signed to do the Marvel MMO. Sounds like Microsoft learned their lesson, and yeah, I can completely agree with that sentiment. The idea of a company as big as Microsoft announcing a game and going, yeah, we'll find a team afterwards. I don't know how that actually got through onto a big trade show. But look, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta take Philly boys' promises with a grain of salt. Because you see, I was made a promise one time. In 2014, I was just an 18-year-old boy enjoying his life when suddenly a fan requested Phil Spencer make a KOTOR anniversary. You know what Phil said? I like the idea. No idea how the rights would work on that with all the changes. I'll put a vote in. To which I said, do it, Phil. For the love of God, please. And Phil said, it's not our IP, nor were we the original publisher. My vote is just a vote as a fan of the game. And right then and there, in 2014, my hopes were through the roof. And guess what? It's 2020, and I still yet to have to see my Star Wars game return. So take what he says with a grain of salt about announcements. More seriously though, now that we have a good deal of information compiled, let's think for a second. Is 2020 the year for Fable 4? We think of if development was in its early days in the beginning of 2018, and we're going to be in the middle of 2020, presumably, when the game gets announced. Could it legitimately be ready for a reveal at that point in time? Because as far as they're concerned, they were ramping up staff and getting things ready at the beginning of 2018. So it's just going to be passing, as of this point now, 2 years of development time. If I'm a betting man, ladies and gentlemen, I think this game does get announced in 2020. So essentially, yes, the year 2020 is the year for Fable 4. But is it the year for release? I don't think so. I can't imagine it being that. I mean, think of how ambitious that is, right? They want to have a character creator. They want to have an open world. They want to have buildings. They want to have the ability to build. They want to do first and third person combat. Like, there's so much to balance there. Those things are not easy to develop. And I imagine a lot of this is new to Playground Games, and unless this information from Eurogamer cannot be trusted and they did start it earlier than that, let's say it was in development for a year prior, let's say all of 2017 was accounted for and now they're technically entering their third year of development, I would say yes, 2020 absolutely is going to be the year that we both see the reveal of but also the release of Fable 4. You see, because man, well, I'm not really sold on the Xbox personally, like we shouldn't be because we don't know really much about it. What would sell me is Fable 4. I would eat that up, man. If I knew that at the launch of the Xbox Series X, we'd have Fable 4 as well as a new Halo game. To me, man, no matter what PlayStation does, that has me in. That doesn't mean I won't buy a PS5. I'm saving my money for both consoles, quite honestly. I keep stashing a little money away each and every single month as we go on because I want to be ready to buy both these consoles. But quite frankly, Xbox has a good chance, just on software alone, to call my name. I'm ready for Fable 4. I'd love to see more. I think there is a strong chance, given all this information and what we know so far, that a trailer was prepared at some point in time. They are preparing for some type of reveal. Did it get scrapped at E3 2019 because Sony surprisingly pulled out at that point and Microsoft didn't have to bring out the big guns because essentially all it was their room to gain? Now with Sony gone a second year and we're entering this new console generation, I think that Microsoft can just bring out the big guns. They have to at this point in time. So I think personally, I'm going to safely expect a E3 2020 reveal with a Q1 2021 release. I would personally be happy with that because that gives me a bright future for the Xbox, but in a perfect world, ladies and gentlemen, one where you would see me screaming in my chair is if they say this is going to be their day one of the Xbox One Series X. Oh my God. That is all it takes, Phil Spencer and Xbox. That is all it takes. That would be nutty. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is all we know so far about Fable 4. There's a decent amount of information out there. A lot of people are clearly getting impatient because you're starting to see regurgitations of said information. And I get why, man. Open world RPGs are the stuff, and I can't get enough of them. So just know, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be my business. I'm going to be covering all of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed once more. Do leave your thoughts on Fable 4 in the comments down below. I enjoyed having this conversation here today, and I can't wait to see what you say on the other end in the comments down below. So do fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all the patrons for making all these videos possible and helping me will Fable 4 into existence. I much appreciate all of your spiritual support. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, do consider supporting my Patreon as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.